kicking, never quitting. Focus sharp like a blade that's hitting. From white belt dreams to the master flow, Paul Coffey's got the mic, now the stories grow. Technique entails discipline and fire. Each guest brings truth to inspire. Keep kicking, step into your power. Keep kicking, moment to the hour. Every strike, every fall, every rise, it's a journey through a warrior's eyes. Old school, new school, all styles blend. From the mat to the mic, where the arts ascend. Philosophy deep, but the vibe stays tight. Martial minds meeting in the podcast light. Keep kicking, step into your power. Keep kicking, moment to the hour. Every strike, every fall, every rise, it's a journey through a warrior's eyes. Keep kicking. Keep kicking. Paul Coffey leads and the journey begins. Paul Coffey leads and the journey begins. Technique entails discipline and fire. Each guest brings truth to inspire. Keep kicking, step into your power. Keep kicking, moment to the hour. Every strike, every fall, every rise, it's a journey through a warrior's eyes. Keep kicking. Keep kicking. Paul Coffey leads and the journey begins.
I may edit this stuff in, just go on.
Sure,
the
yeah,
top.
okay.
Yeah.
So I'm sure you're gonna have your intros and all that. But so for instance, so like Eddie Alvarez, he had to go to gym A, B, C, and D, just like you probably did to get your MMA, to get your karate, to get your Muay Thai, your wrestling, blah, 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 blah.
Right.
His facility in Bucks County, Pennsylvania, state of the art. Anybody could just walk in. Anybody. A 5-year-old neighborhood kid who's still got latchkey parents, and in that neighborhood there are no latchkey kids. Everybody's got change up there. But his facility, anybody can just walk into and get world-class Muay Thai, bare knuckle fighting instruction even. They've got the bare knuckle fighting ring in there with the cage, boxing. You got Ray Robinson, the new Ray Robinson, multi-time, multi-division stage. Like, could you imagine having access to that in your neighborhood back then?
Right.
Kids today are super spoiled. So when I was growing up, like I was telling you, I was a baseball kid, but Southeastern Pennsylvania has some really good wrestling credentials. I mean, Pennsylvania in general does, at least on like the youth wrestling aspect. And one of my best friends growing up, his name's Matt Rizzo. He fought in Bellator a few times. And he was number 11 in the world at 125 in like 7. So like he got no love on an international stage. I mean, WEC was on the West Coast. We're out here on the East Coast. There's, other than boxing at the time, you know, there really is no televised broadcast combat sport coming from Pennsylvania other than wrestling. We've got like pro wrestling. There's a pro wrestling show every 5 minutes in Pennsylvania.
So what's interesting about what you're saying though is that like the combat arts, if you look at the timeline, it always has those dead times, you know.
Yeah.
So the 1940s was a big dead time. I don't know how familiar you are with history, but the 1940s was a big
There's a lot
dead
going
time.
on in the 40s though, yeah. They had a
No,
lot going on.
no.
There were no wars. Yeah.
Right. No wars. Everything was chill. In the 40s, there was a lot of the lull. And the real thing, if you looked at the stage, was boxing. And America was on the rise with the Western boxing, and it was a big booming thing. And that's actually why karate, judo, and jujitsu are 3 separate things now. Because before, if you learned karate, you learned karateka jujitsu. And so
I didn't know that.
So in karate, traditionally, you learn karate, aikido, judo, and jujitsu, and the only place in the world where it's still taught like that is Okinawa. But the Japanese government broke everything up so that they had a kicking art, a throwing art, and a grappling art, and they made them all sports and pushed them all out. And that was a lull. But in the 2000s, like through maybe 2010, there was that same lull where your buddy fell victim because
Yeah.
MMA wasn't big enough yet. Kickboxing was on the way out,
Yep.
and we just had what we had.
So to get back to how I got into this, because I knew
Mhm,
Matt Rizzo,
mhm,
and
mhm,
I did train. I trained in BJJ and Muay Thai.
mhm,
I did wrestle when I was like a kid, but
mhm.
I was a punk ass baseball player, man. I didn't like seeing the
Yeah,
sky and then getting it with the earth. You know what I'm
right,
saying? So
right.
but, like, I made all my friends were wrestlers, so
Mhm,
I trained at BJJ at Revolution Academy in Levittown, Pennsylvania, that's where Matt a bunch of guys out, from there, Scott Heckman, regional guy, Matt Rizzo, regional guy, my guy, and these guys were also like, a lot of these guys and, like, Johannes Habtu, they fought in, like, the wild, wild west on the East Coast,
mhm,
which was Delaware. Delaware in the early 2000s, you saw killers like Timmy Williams, who fought Anthony Smith, former light heavyweight title challenger, twice. Like no commission, no
mhm,
rules,
mhm,
knees, kicks, head of down opponent, elbows, all that stuff for amateurs. No guys, nothing.
mhm.
I got tired of spending $35 to $55 twice
Right,
a weekend plus travel and
right.
stay. Like losing my mind because when you get past like your first interaction, flight or flight impulse of fighting, if you can get
Mhm.
past that, for all the layman's, because your massively popular podcast is getting seen by the world right now, right?
Right, right.
Once you can get past that, you genuinely, and this is why we all watch it to a degree, is like you can see it for the reality, the real value, the real life value that these sports accumulatively provide that no other sport has. Dana
Mhm,
White made a big thing. If you have four sports on a TV and one of those sports has like a fight, like in baseball where the bench is clear, everybody's watching that.
mhm,
What we do and what I regulate, what you guys do and what I regulate is just that. And it speaks to a larger community of things that are just you can't lie, you can't fake
mhm,
it. You can talk about faking it
mhm,
and you
mhm.
can get called out on your lie, but if you're competing, ain't nobody in there but you and the other opponent, and it both starts standing. You know what I mean? Like
That's right.
it's the
That's right.
rawest, purest form of competition.
Mhm,
Yes, is it brutal? But ultimately, life is brutal. Every other species on Earth either
mhm,
dies screaming or drowning. Very few
mhm,
die from happy old age like us. Um, with that aside, I really just couldn't. I had to participate, but I
mhm.
wasn't athletic enough. You know, time. If you're really, I mean, Southeastern PA guys are wrestling at 4 years old. You know,
Right.
and I'm at 22, 23, 24. I got to get a time machine to be competitive. You know, and they ain't got those yet. So what I did, I realized that, I had to understand the business of combat sports, not so much as a promoter or as an athlete or as talent, but just to
Mhm,
like see it for what it is. And I really kind of boiled it down to this. There are three entities that go into any combat sports show. That is the state governing agency in the United States. That is the promoter, and that is the talent. And in talent, I include athletes, trainers,
mhm,
managers. Right.
mhm,
So I had connections with managers, trainers, and athletes, but that wasn't
mhm,
like because I wanted access to everybody,
mhm.
everybody. So if I stuck with like trying to be an amateur coach, trainer, whatever, I was living and dying within that gym.
Hello, everyone, and welcome once again to Keep Kicking Martial Arts Podcast, where I have martial arts conversations with my martial arts friends. Today, I sit down with Michael. We got started a little early, but now, Michael, pick it back
Yes,
up
sir.
where we left off.
Sure. So I got into the athletic commission because I got tired of spending $200 a week on travel and accommodations to watch all my buddies fight after, training with them and all that. So I realized that the commission was the governing agency that regulates the shows. The commission is a state government. They have the
Mhm.
power of the state police. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm. Mhm.
They're the reasons why the records matter. Their
Mhm.
function. Their function should be obviously fairness, equality, upholding the rules and regulations, because you want people to be able to chase greatness to the maximum potential, but you also kind of want to protect them from themselves so they can fight in 2 weeks. You know what I mean? Like for amateurs and stuff like that. Pros are pros. And it's ultimately like it doesn't have to be. It's the only area where you can where you're truly there for the benefit of everybody
Mm.
at your core. It comes across. I don't know how other commissions treat you guys, but we'll get into that. So anyway, I figured out who the commission was. At the time, it was Greg Serb, who I later learned to be a legend, an absolute legend in the regulatory field. He was the reason why MMA was illegal in Pennsylvania until 2006. Yeah.
What?
He was the reason why. He fought tooth and nail to keep it out and about. The regulatory issues at the time were a problem in the throughout MMA's history in the
Mhm.
United States. So what I did
So
was
was he coming at it from a standpoint of this sport can't happen, or was he coming at it from a standpoint of get your shit together before we launch it?
it was a little bit of a column A and column B of the lead. Now, this
Okay,
was
okay.
before I started. You know,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
was aware. I went to the first UFC show in Pennsylvania history in 2000. It was when Anderson Silva sunned Forrest Griffin with that stiff backup jab. Kenny Florian, man, God bless Mr. Florian's soul, but he got annihilated by the legend that is BJ Penn.
Right.
So it's it was great, and I saw what the commission did. I don't know if my phone's blowing up. If that comes across, I apologize. So I'm a bouncer on the side, so my security team is just obnoxious. So what I
Understood.
did was I figured out that you can just send them applications for anything. You yourself,
Mhm.
do you have but like you yourself could literally just send application fee, application fee, application fee for fighter, boxer, pro boxer, amateur
Right.
boxer, pro MMA fighter, all
Right.
that stuff. I did that, but I did that for ring announcer, doctor, like all of it. I have no college degree to my name. I ain't never had an amateur fight. The most I ever did was I was one of the fresh guys for my buddy Matt Rizzo's camp when he was like, when we were just doing rounds of fresh guys for him. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So, and then street fights, that's pretty much it. So, a couple of weeks go by and I forget about it. I send like $300 worth of fees in, right?
Okay.
So, I get a phone call and it's like, hello. And it's like, isn't Mike Prasch there? And I'm like, yeah, who's this? And he goes, oh, this is Gregory Serb. I'm the executive director of the Pennsylvania State Athletic. He's grumbly and he's like rattling off. And I was like, yo, Mr. Serb, what's going on? Did you get my application? He goes, yeah, Mike, I got all your stuff. Is everything in order? And he goes, yeah, but I got a question for you. I'm like, what? And he goes, who the fuck are you? And he's like, I have never heard of you before. You ain't like, you're not in my universe. Cause he had a really genius mind. He had the ability to remember fighters from a gazillion years ago who fought in PA West.
Mhm.
Silly. So I pretty much just said, yeah, man, I sent you all that stuff for this phone call. Put me on in any way. I'll push a broom. I'll just collect cards and I'll do it for peanuts. But I gotta participate. You gotta put me on. And he's
Mhm.
like, he told me about what an inspector was, which is what I became. And I said, I'll think about it. If an opportunity comes, shoot me an email. 2 weeks later, I get an email. Be at the Sands Casino for your boxing instruction training by 7 p.m.
Awesome.
And that was in 2014, 2015. And you
Mhm.
cannot keep me away. I have been doing regulating every combat sport. If it involves a strike or a submission, a strike, I'm there. I'm gonna be there. And I have come from just signing hand wraps at a show to now I can run a UFC show by myself with inspectors under me if I needed to. If the state
That's awesome.
needed to, we have that. I have that ability.
That's awesome. Can so tell me what keeps you going with it? What do you like about it?
The number one thing that I've grown to love with the time that I've been able to do this job is watching you trainers and athletes grow. Joe
Mm.
Pyfer is a rising star in 185-pound UFC division. I think I signed off on not his amateur debut, but I
Mhm.
signed off on his advanced amateur debut, and I think I signed off on his Pennsylvania pro debut hand wraps. I have
Mm.
seen Joe Pyfer go from super young, late teens, and now he's in his mid to late 20s.
Mhm.
and he came from nothing, and I saw him real raw, power out,
Mhm.
cartoon power, just putting out seasoned regional guys with what looked like barely touching their faces,
Mhm.
to now sunning Kelvin Gastelum, like
Mhm.
sunning. His only loss in the
Mhm.
UFC is to Jack Hermanson, a monster 185er, seasoned grappling vet as well. And
Mhm.
he couldn't put Joe Pyfer, or he couldn't put him down. He couldn't submit him, couldn't finish him. And I'm so proud of seeing all the regional guys and girls coming from PA, Delaware, DC, all the way up New York. You know how us Northeastern guys, we're all in the same
Yeah,
area,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
metropolitan
yeah.
area. The
Right.
distance isn't that big. Seeing the athletes and the trainers grow,
Mhm.
and in the sport specifically, where it's the hardest to do it, because
Mhm.
it's 100% injury rate. You're
Mhm.
going to get kicked and you're going to get punched. It's coming at your face, and you gotta learn how to deal with it, and counter, and then be offensive, and then
Mhm.
be able to walk away. It's all associated with
Mhm.
real life threats and real life scenarios where, like, a knockout on the street, you can die.
Absolutely.
Because there's
Absolutely.
no once you get sunned out on the street, there's nothing stopping someone from stomping on your neck until you stop moving.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? And that's the ultimate that's the ultimate loss. You don't get a respawn in this real life. You know what I'm
That's
saying? And
right.
that's the
That's
fear.
right.
But another thing that I've come to watch and come to really appreciate is you can see the techniques being tested and
Mm.
tried in real time. And the more you watch that, the more you get an appreciation for guys like Jerron Boots Ennis, who just make people look silly 4 or 5 steps into round one. Just,
Mhm.
you can see the magic that is, like, time stopping in the pocket, and
Yeah.
you're
The
there,
chess
and then
game.
it is, you see that, and as an inspector, as a regulator, I learned to watch fights without putting any stock in any of the teams, any of the fighters fighting. No matter if
Yes.
I've worked with them for 10 years or 5 minutes, because it's the technique. Like, they're just red corner, blue corner blobs,
Mhm.
really doing some of the most fantastic combat sport or martial arts,
Mhm.
a walk on earth. There's a select percentage that can do it at that level, and it's been an absolute pleasure watching guys like that compete, guys and girls like that compete and grow. Those two things is, I
There's two there's two things that you said. One is before we got disconnected, and I'll circle back to it. But the other one is something that you just said. Being able to, as a martial artist,
yes, sir.
I train with guys that I've known for 2 decades,
Oh yeah.
right? But
Mm-hmm.
as soon as I start sparring with them, that's not Jeff. Hi, Jeff.
No,
Sorry. It's not Jeff anymore. It's just a
no,
body,
it's your
because
opponent.
that's
It's
part of
work.
what that's part of what we have trained ourselves to do. And I think that the sport would benefit from more people looking at it from the same lens as you, because we take too much stock in oh, that's Anderson Silva. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
that's, any of the fancy, any of the great names, the John Jones,
The GSPs, all of
the
them.
GSPs, all of
They
them.
fought in high
We
school gyms too, bro. They sure
Right.
did. Yeah.
Right. So that's one thing I think it's very important. I want my audience to consider is that, yes, you could buy into the personalities. There's a couple of people. Patty, I think Patty is a wonderful guy. He's got a
He's
big,
going places. If he
he's,
can learn to, it depends on what he wants ultimately. I'm not, oftentimes I say they should, or they this, they that. Ultimately, I'm just some guy who has watched who has watched probably over 5,000, 6,000 fights
mm,
live that I've regulated, not including the ones that I watch,
as a fan.
recreationally. As a fan,
Yeah.
yeah. Also, side note, there's a good saying that we say in the regulatory field. Everybody that works in a state regulatory capacity in some way is a fan. They just cannot be a
Hmm.
fan that night.
Right. Right. That's
They just
great.
cannot be.
That's great.
Cannot be, and the keeping it pure, from a regulatory side
Hmm.
is really, really important, because if the records don't matter, then the structure of being able to support yourself while doing this doesn't exist. Then it's
Right. Right.
scripted, and then you're WWE, and then nobody's getting after it, and the quality of martial arts dips.
Hmm. Hmm.
So the purity of it's the and like in WWE, they're athletes, They're big, they're throwing punches, they're throwing chairs, whatever you want, but they're not throwing to kill.
Right. Right.
They're not hitting, they're not throwing head kicks. You know what I'm saying? They're not throwing head kicks. They're just not.
Well, they're not throwing to kill. They're not even throwing a knockout.
They're not.
You know?
They're throwing a touch. They're throwing a show. And it
Right.
is the best form of modern day vaudeville theater that the world has. And they're doing a wonderful job, and it's a great community. But aside from that, they're not killing people, which is why records in MMA, the regulations in MMA, or combat sports, sorry, in non-scripted combat sports is just something that has to be treated as sacred. You know what I mean?
For sure.
Because if it's not treated as sacred, then framework for being successful crumbles as it stands today. And that's why I take it very seriously.
It's good that you take it very seriously. The second thing that I wanted to touch base on that you had mentioned is the whole making sure people are safe so that they can fight in 2 weeks. Because I
Whatever
think
the time frame is. Yeah.
I think that a lot of people don't understand that all of the fighters that you see on the main stage that you only see fight 3 or 4 times a year, they had to fight every 2 weeks, every 3 weeks.
Multiple styles too.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so the question would be, how are you keeping the fighters safe to make sure that they can return in 2 weeks?
Yeah, so that's a wonderful question. As a regulator, pros, when you're a seasoned vet for a pro, there are a couple of things that I would look for. An inspector and a regulatory, when a fight is happening, people don't know this. The referee is the authority. They outrank me. They outrank the athletic director in terms of calls during the fight. The athletic director has the ability, or the person running the show, because there's only one athletic director and there are several, several sites. Whoever's running the show has the ability to stop a fight, but the calls made from bell to bell under no circumstances are to be treated anything other than law by the referee. Referee is the preeminent guy. So what I do and what the state does is, on amateur side of things, we don't allow heel hooks, twisting submissions of any kind for mixed martial arts. You're not getting paid. You're getting paid via your sponsors, maybe ticket sales, because the state deals with amateur MMA. We make sure the contract is good, because there's a contract that you're not getting raked over the coals. But there's no purse. So ultimately, we're just there to make sure that the materials used are up to standards. Nobody can use, it's got to be medical grade gauze, light bouncy athletic tape. Hockey tape is the most aggressive style tape that we use in PA. That's more of a discretionary call. Availability, amateur status, all that stuff play a role. Advanced amateurs in PA for MMA. They just don't wear shin guards, and you're allowed to punch to the head of a down opponent, but still no twisting submissions of any kind. When you become pro, it's full MMA rules, the matchmaking as well for amateurs, specifically if a guy's 0-1 going up against an 0-0 guy. The 0-0 guy is a true, amateur novice. The 0-1 guy is a D1 wrestler who walked into a right hand. The guy running the table is going to tell the referee, make sure this guy, because the D1 wrestler's a D1 wrestler. We don't know anything about this younger guy with no real qualifications on his amateur application. He did karate a little bit. He's got a current gym that he's training at. He's proficient up to this stripe on whatever belt. These are the things that we take in when we get an amateur license application, fighter's application. But still, man, you can't fake cauliflower ear. So if guy seems like he's in for a hurt, we do make sure the referee understands the discrepancy in experience, so that can play a role in the amateurs. Pros, you're a pro. You sign the contract, you're getting paid. You're a grown man at that point, or lady. You have the experience and the wisdom and the knowledge and the self-accountability to make your own bed and lie in it. That's how we're going to treat it. But we're also going to make sure that the referees are all experienced. We do have not enough official referee style training program, because referees can come from every state. You know, they're hired by the state.
Sure.
They're also not hired by the UFC. They're not hired by WBC. For all the guys who don't know, stop yelling at the UFC for the referees. Yell at the state.
Right.
Because the UFC has no say. They do a little bit because of economics, but ultimately the law is on us. We also try to make sure that an inspector is around at least some point throughout the hand wrapping process. This is to make sure that people aren't loading up their hand wraps with plaster of Paris, chemicals, nickels, dimes, brass knuckles, whatever. What most people, even in the industry, don't know, even athletes and trainers, is that each individual state will issue you your license. You want to fight in New Hampshire, you got to go to New Hampshire State Athletic Board or the governing commission up there. Back in the day, like in the 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s, or 60s and 70s and 80s, you could fight up in New Hampshire, get suspended from cheating, and then just get a license in PA and fight, and then go to Jersey and then get a license in New Jersey. We now have the ABC, the Association of Boxing Commissions and Combat Sports. They just say the ABC. So if you get suspended in Pennsylvania, California will not license you. Mohegan Sun, you want to go fight over in Europe under a Mohegan Sun license? They will not license you.
Good.
So the rules that we have for each state, it is not fair, admittedly, on the athletes and the trainers to remember all 50 commissions or all 40 some odd commissions, because some states don't have them.
Yeah.
And all their rules and all their regulations. It sucks. However, they are really similar, and each commission, if they're worth their weight in gold, they will be your advocate. I'm talking to you, the trainer, you, the fighter, and they will do everything they can to make sure that you don't have to worry about anything up until you walk through those ropes or through that cage door. So we manage a lot more than just regulatory stuff. There's cultural stuff that we got to handle. There's just logistics of flying in from wherever you're from, no hand wrap stuff, and then you got to go find hand wrap stuff. Where do you go? You don't go to Walmart. You know what I mean?
Right.
You might be able to get gauze, medical grade gauze, but they're going to have really crappy tape, like paper tape that has nothing. It's really, really minuscule, and it's different via state. So we really try to accommodate via seasoned trainers that are local that get hired for just that fight regionally. They'll bring extra stuff, and it's all trying to help make sure guys get their hands done right. They got the materials right so that they can just walk out and chase greatness. So we're trying to keep fighters safe, not only making sure that all the materials being used in combat sports are safe to a degree. I mean, it's 100% injury rate,
Right.
you know, you got to set that aside, but safe to a degree, uniform, ubiquitous, non-toxic, readily available, and easy to replicate. That's one or two or three ways that we really try to keep fighter safety in check. We also do random drug testing to make sure that people are fighting on the up and up. Another thing to recognize in the combat sports world is that the state agencies are running behind in terms of medical marijuana legality and in their rule books and regulations. Some rules and regulations do not need like state legislature to change. The executive director and like some board of medical advisors do play some role in how regulations are molded. But sometimes those outdated, like marijuana is pretty much legal within earshot of everywhere in Pennsylvania. You know, there's got to be something. There's a little bit of discretion playing a role. So for athletes everywhere, man, stop smoking during camp. Just stop. I know it's not I know it's not as an inspector. Like I understand it's not a performance enhancing drug, but the last thing you need is to have the performance of your fucking life. And then just have a negative little ding on your record because you smoked weed or something like that, which is not wrong. I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm just saying the state regulations are behind, and it takes so much effort to change a law in your local city municipality. Imagine a state government having to go through all that too. So I say that really trying to give you fighters and trainers, like, take it easy on your inspectors too, man. We're doing what we can. We're trying the best. We're not trying to, you know, because we should, and you should be treated with the respect and the not admiration, but like what you guys do is bigger than, it's part of something that's bigger than all of us, that dates back to pre-pancration days in the original Olympics. You know, the
Absolutely.
double legs that you know how to take, that you know how to blast today, they've been working on them for over 2,000 years. And the lineage is the knowledge that is shared is passed verbally. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? So that
Mhm.
lineage can be traced back and it's all connected. And it's that chasing that intangible it. You know, you're getting
Mhm.
after it. You're doing that work. Whether you win or lose, some of the best experiences I've had as an inspector is watching a guy lose, but him knowing that why he lost, and he's already got a plan to figure it out on Monday.
Mhm.
Because
Mhm.
that guy is so much dangerous Sunday morning than he was losing Saturday night.
Absolutely.
You could just see it. You can see
Absolutely.
the hard work, the sacrifice, and the skill and the dedication required to be proficient in this.
Mhm.
Even if your record's dog shit, to continuously go out and be healthy and competing, it's incredible. It really is. I can't get enough
Mhm.
of it, as most of you guys probably can't as well.
So first off,
Yes, sir.
when we were scheduling this, you said, "I'm not really a martial artist. Got maybe."
No,
You're like, "I got maybe 5 minutes at it." And I wanna say,
maybe.
do you know what, the term kung fu means?
I have no idea what the term kung fu means.
I'm going to enlighten you.
I'm going to require it.
Okay. The term kung fu means good hard work. So
Awesome.
a chef can have good kung fu,
Oh, for
right?
sure.
You know? And in that same regard, the passion that you have, the knowledge that you have good kung fu.
Thank you.
So
I
so
appreciate that.
consider that. What advice would you give anybody who's looking to elevate their MMA career or, you know, experience from perspective of regulation? Because we've had some people on and they talk about as the athlete the things
Hmm.
to do, you know, and
Yeah.
there's surely an ad nauseum of things that you do as far as, you know, training and camps and finding
Hmm.
what works for you, and guys are putting in 3 4 5s a day, you
Yeah.
know, and stuff like that. But from the regulation standpoint, what do you think fighters should do? What do you think they neglect? What do you think they could do better?
Fighters need to understand that even though they're coming up and they're learning the business as they go,
Mm-hmm.
the fighters are the product. The
Mm.
fighters are the prize. And I'm sure you're a coach. Your
Mm-hmm.
coach works for you, fighter.
Mm-hmm.
When I'm
Absolutely.
issuing a regulation about hand wraps or
Mm-hmm.
gear or stuff like that, and your coach is going to advocate for you, talk to me for you so you don't have to, that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
It's 100% fine. Anything, if the inspector says something and if you think it's wrong, then you're wrong because the inspector's the law. It's
Right.
just the way
Right.
it is. If the inspector is incorrect and you
Mm-hmm.
have time, because oftentimes in a locker room, I'm talking about in a locker room setting, warming up,
Mm-hmm.
you'll
Mm-hmm.
fight 2 or 3 and it's 7 o'clock. You got to be ready. If you have issues before that, there's not a lot of time to address.
Mm-hmm.
Want to address that.
Mm-hmm.
However, the inspector is really responsible for you. I'll kick your trainer out and I'll get somebody else to wrap your hands so you can fight. If you don't
Mm-hmm.
fight, I'm going to fine you. I'm going to suspend you. And that
Mm-hmm.
suspension might be indefinite. And you may have to
Mm-hmm.
travel from wherever you're from all the way back down to Pennsylvania and Harrisburg to go to a meeting, which we hold once a month, to advocate for your license to be non suspended. And
Mm-hmm.
that stuff can happen because your coach says, no, I'm wrapping his hands my way.
Mm. Mm. That's I will
See what I
add.
mean?
That's
Make sure.
the thing is, this is a sport of egos, and there's no room for that part of ego.
There really isn't. I mean, and I
Right.
don't really I don't really get into it that much because at the end of the day,
Sure.
before every fight I make we have a rules meeting. I'm sure
Yes.
most of you guys understand that. And in the state of Pennsylvania, at least on the east side of the state, when I'm there, I'm going to tell you who I am. My name's Mike Prasch. I'm the inspector with the Pennsylvania State Athletic Commission. We hold the power of the state. I will. I have the ability to take points away from your rounds. I have the ability to fine you. I can take your license away for anything that I see fit. And everybody's wearing the same PASAC shirt or anybody wearing
Mhm.
this shirt. It's not my style. I don't want to have that power over you,
Mhm.
but I will take that license and I will be petty about it if I have to be.
Mhm.
But it doesn't have to be that way. Because then you
I
don't
don't
ever
think.
fight. You don't fight anywhere else if I do that. And I don't
Mhm.
want to take away your livelihood. I would rather save you from some petty bullshit because
Mhm.
I'm a regulator and send
Mhm.
you out there clean, and then you come back without any smudge on your integrity.
Mhm.
Your fighters and your coaches, fighters, your integrity is the only real thing that matters. If you ain't got
Mhm.
integrity, you might get calls for fights, but they're not going to be for you.
Right. That's right.
So understand that the inspector, there are a lot of rules that we have to enforce that are
Mhm.
there for a reason. You don't need to understand the reason. The reason could be something as silly as we didn't allow hats in the corner because somebody was hiding grease under the brim of the cap and then going to his go in between doing this and then rubbing it all over his shoulder. So instead of being like, let me inspect the caps, we're like, now nobody can wear a hat in the corner.
Right.
And I'm bald as fuck, guys. Yo, this ain't good for me. Damn. No, but like little things like that. Fighters, the coaches work for you.
Mhm.
And that's the end of that argument. When an
Mhm.
inspector is having an issue with your hand wraps or something like that, we're doing so and we're telling you that if you don't fix this, you cannot fight. It's not like we don't want you to.
Mhm.
It's that I have to, because if I don't do it for you, I'm going to have to not do it for everybody else. And that's
Right.
just not realistic. It's not conducive to a smooth, safe, fair regulatory experience. So do yourself a favor as it comes to inspectors. Recognize that your coaches work for you.
Mhm.
The inspector should be your advocate, because not only are we there to tell you how to do things properly, we're there to make sure that your agent doesn't screw you over or a promoter doesn't screw you over with a bad contract, particularly with
Mhm.
amateurs. We're there to make sure that the contract is executed. If you're due 500 and 500 and you go out and you win via knockout, we're making sure that you get that 500 and 500.
Mhm.
We're the reason why the money's in the bank. Another thing I would recommend, particularly for amateurs in any combat sport, if you're an amateur, your record is absolutely meaningless. It means
Mm.
nothing. When you go
Say
pro,
say it again. Say it again.
when you're an amateur, nobody gives a fuck about
Mm.
your record. Amateurs are designed specifically for you to learn the business of combat sports. Learn what it takes to have a successful camp. Learn what a bad camp feels
Mm.
like. Learn what losing feels like. Learn what it sounds like or what it feels like when you lose and nobody calls you after.
Mhm.
Learn how to like that's what amateurs are for. Learn
And
what's
so
sponsor. Yeah.
what's interesting about this is the term business has a different meaning when it comes from somebody that is regulatory versus when it comes from a fighter. Because a fighter, when he says business, he's thinking, how do I pay for camp? How do I pay for enough free time so that I
Travel,
have time to
free time,
train? Right. How
childcare.
do
Yeah.
how do I pay for medical? How do I pay for nutrition while I do all this stuff? That is important.
Yes,
We
it
are
is.
not saying that that is not important. We are also not saying that it is not a difficult thing to do. As a coach, I'm aware of it. As this gentleman, as a regulator, he's aware of it. What we're saying is if you want it, you not only have to figure out how to make it work for you, but you also need to figure out this side of the business so that, you're doing things by the book, first of all.
Yes, sir. Agreed.
The integrity that you touched base on, that's that's more important than anything else.
It is, and it goes without saying because it's like understood. You know what I'm saying? It's just the
Well,
way it should be. But you do need to say it out loud. You do need to
mhm,
reinforce it with your words and your actions
mhm,
because it's so ubiquitous. It's permeated everywhere. It's
mhm.
assumed that's how it is. You
Right.
need to have the regulators tell you like and in my opinion, regulators need to be a little bit more uplifting rather than tyrannical. I think if any of our other
Say more.
regulators out
Say
there
more.
in Pennsylvania, I
Mm,
want you to fight in PA. I want you to come
mhm,
see this handsome red beard, no hair up top, plainly tell you how to get ready for your upcoming combat sports competition.
mhm,
As I want to see that, and I want I mean, I'm selfish too. I want the economic impact to benefit not only my fellow, Pennsylvanians, but also the Northeast in general, because we get guys, as I'm sure you're aware, there's so many states up here, bro. Just come to PA.
Oh, for sure.
So my philosophy is, and the executive director, Ed Kunkel's philosophy is, at least in regular locker room prep, if your locker room prep is without issue, lifting, formative, easy to
Yes.
digest, and
Yes.
consistent,
Yes.
and this past year has proven it, you will have a better performance in the cage or ring. You will have less injuries because there's less anxiety. You will be able to consume the information you need to consume. You will be clearer minded, so you will be able to evaluate your real time combat sports experience without the burden of bullshit. If that happens, which it has, you will have a better fighting experience. You will have a better pre and post fight experience.
Absolutely.
God damn it, I'll bet you'll learn a lot more about yourself without having the burden of a bad locker room experience. So
Absolutely.
that is so important, because if you go out there willy-nilly, then your whole fucking mental game can be fucked up. I'll leave that to the coaches to describe more than me, but I have seen it. I've seen fighters shaking in the back just because, like, they forgot their cup, or like, they got yelled at by some guy or whatever. And it's like, yo, you're about to go out there and you're about to really get fucking fucked up. Like,
Right.
and I'll tell the coach, I'm like, remind him, man, like, that's all noise. It's all noise. So so for Pennsylvania, I want you to want to fight here. I want you to know that the executive director, we want you to be treated as professionals. This is even for the amateurs. I'm going to hold you to that professional standard. So that does mean that you will fight in good faith. I don't want to see no fake glove touch. You go out there and you fake touch gloves to start around, and you come over with a right after. I am going to happily take that license. Just so you know.
Right.
I'm coming for it.
That's not
Coming for
petty. That's not petty.
Yeah. So, like,
No.
if you're going to chase greatness, because money comes with greatness. You chase money, you may not get it. But if you chase greatness, money comes with it.
You're the second person this week that I've interviewed that said the exact same thing. If you chase money, it'll run away from you. You'll never get it.
Never.
If you chase
you may smell it. You may be able to touch it a little bit, but you won't bask in it. You won't.
Right.
Unless you're lucky. And luck is luck. But yeah, so amateur fighters, when you're coming up, your coaches work for you fight night. They are your employees. Be nice to them, because they probably whoop your ass every other day, but they do work for you. Another thing that I don't think a lot of fighters realize early on in my career, back when I was training, gym loyalty. I do want to make sure, from an outsider's perspective, gym loyalty is an absolute wonderful, admirable thing to support. Gym loyalty will never stop you from growing as a fighter. You should be able to cross-train anywhere you want. Your money pays your gym coaches fees. They are your teachers. You are the paying student. You should be able to cross-train with the best in the world if the opportunity presents itself. Anybody who hinders that is a hindrance to your progress and your positivity as a human being. That is them trying to own you and control you.
That is not a teacher.
That is not a teacher. That is cult-like. It is.
Teacher nourishes growth.
Exactly.
A good coach nourishes growth.
Now, I haven't been in a gym, in gym culture, in any gym culture for 17 years.
It's time to get back in.
Yeah, listen, my 6-pack's 2 inches underneath the fat. Agree with you. However, I don't know what that is like now. I see guys jump from gym to cross train, but they're still home-based gym. Will always be on their shorts. They always have their coaches. Make connections. Don't burn bridges. You will learn from people that you've never, ever thought you will.
Absolutely.
Young in your career, listen more than you speak, but also understand that when it's fight time, you are the boss. You're paying them, you're utilizing them, you're leveraging your team for their wisdom, but you are the boss. The sooner you know that, the more you'll be able to identify things that may not be in your best interest. And you'll have because my goal is to just give you guys the best information that I can so you can make the best decision for you. That's the goal. Yeah. To be clear.
Okay. So without completely blacklisting my entire self by dragging people through the mud, myself and a couple of others that are local to my area in Kentucky, we have.
That's my cat.
Do what?
My cat just poked her head in, so
oh, okay, good. No, totally fine. We have a problem with our athletic commission.
Okay.
And I don't want to discuss necessarily the problem. I want to know if you all are putting anything in place to solve the problem and how. Our athletic commission does not vet those applications in a way that I think is good enough. And so the applications for amateur fighters are not vetted as strongly as I think they should. And because of that, there are some YouTube trained fighters that get in the ring. Those individuals, some 8 or 9 years ago, there was an instance that happened at one of our local fights. A gentleman lost his life because of directly related to what I consider to be he shouldn't have been fighting because he didn't have enough training and medical issues. And since then, we have not had, me and the close-knit group that I'm associated, we have not had anybody fight in Kentucky. So we have gone elsewhere to fight.
Specifically sought elsewhere. Yeah.
Well, first of all, safety for our fighters is a concern. And then second of all, the mental strain that takes on the crowd, that takes on other fighters, that takes on, I'll probably
be lifeless. Bodies shouldn't be lifeless in a combat sport. Bodies should not be lifeless in a combat sport. Like, even if you get choked out real quick or you get knocked out, you should pop up. Right? Like,
I will say, and I may end up cutting this out, but
that's fine.
Fighters that are about to fight should not witness someone die in the locker room and then be asked to go into the cage.
No, I mean, I can't imagine being put in that position, no, because like ultimately like we want to fly close enough to the sun without getting burnt. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's anybody passing away from a sport is a tragic, specifically this sport, because it's so dangerous inherently and visually and misunderstood and mischaracterized and stigmatized as, you guys are just savage, violent cavemen and women that just, strangle and punch each other in the face. Just because that's accurate doesn't mean you're bad people. It's all my weird struggle, snuggle, fisticuff fans out there. You know what I mean? And thank you for laughing, Mr. Coffey. I appreciate that, dude. So in order to address a bad commission, ultimately you have to understand form, fit, and function. Commission is a state agency. Any change has to come from your state representatives and local representatives and local community to make a stink. You guys in Kentucky's got hills. Kentucky's got mountains. Kentucky's beautiful. Kentucky's got some working class, big mitt having people. If you guys want to get rowdy and fuck each other up, then do so smartly by getting paid to do it, either via purse or sponsor. And if your commission's not doing a good job, talk to them. Talk to your state reps. The state of Pennsylvania, we are blessed because we have Philadelphia and Pittsburgh and Scranton. We have easy access to New York. We had to have a regulatory scene for combat sports for forever. That experience will stack and it never really goes away. Kentucky, I don't know the history on that commission. Reach out, man. Get involved. Send them letters, just emails, calls. Tell them that California, New York, and PA. Why are they getting all the fights? Right?
Yeah, we're the hometown of Muhammad Ali. At one point in time, we were.
Why aren't you? Right. And ultimately, I think, there's a lot of people who are in positions of power in state departments that have no
Mhm.
experience within that state department's expertise or area of
Mhm.
experience, right? So what you will run into people who are hearing your arguments but have no capacity to understand.
Absolutely.
So also when that happens, that means you do have to educate. And anytime you have to educate somebody, a layman, specifically someone who's somewhat in the industry, the trick is to do so without talking to them, one, like they're a toddler or trying to insult their intelligence. And that's really, really hard, especially in today when everybody's fired up to just debate, whether they know anything about the topic
I haven't
or
I
not.
haven't noticed that. I haven't
But you
noticed
haven't?
that.
Kentucky must be real nice then, guy. Real nice. I got to get down there. No, but like it is overtly combat sports in general from a regulatory side. I'm also speaking like from my own personal experience. The state of Pennsylvania has been really, really good in training me and giving me the work, and I've been able to ply my trade every weekend for the past 15 to 17 years. I forget what year I started. It was either
Awesome.
14, 15, or 16. So, um, what is instead of being all doom and gloom, here are the positive sides that I do want to also balance this kind of conversation on.
Sure.
Never before has the knowledge of being a competent combat sports participant been at your available fingertips and in
Mm,
your area. You no longer have to go to a boxing gym and then an MMA, and then a wrestling gym, and then a judo gym, and then a BJJ
right.
gym, and then a Muay Thai gym just to get MMA. You can now go to an MMA gym and get quality instruction.
Mhm.
Instructionals on the internet are wonderful. You do need to practice physically. Nobody
Mhm.
makes it by themselves in this industry as well. You
Mhm.
will not do it by yourself. The work you
Mhm.
will do the work, but you won't do the work by yourself. Hold your inspectors accountable.
Mhm.
Hey, I need you to inspect these. Can I make sure someone's watching my opponent? Can I have my coach watch my opponent? If that's important to you, request it.
Mhm.
If they're worth their snuff, they will accommodate and they will coordinate with you.
Mhm.
You are in a position to win 4 or 5 fights and then get seen to make some serious coin.
Mhm.
No other sport. You can't just be like 14 years old. I mean, soccer may, because they got teenagers in professional soccer, but you
Right.
don't got teenagers in pro baseball, pro football,
Right.
some in pro
Right.
basketball, but like not. You still have to do so much. Got to go through all
Mhm.
college. You got to pay for college. Got to get a scholarship. No,
Well,
you
and
can pay your fee for a gym membership. You can get a couple of camps in. You can get 3 amateur bouts. You can win 5 pros, and then you're on Dana White's Tuesday Night Contender Series. That can happen in 2 or 3 years.
also with soccer, with football, with baseball, you're also relying on all of the other people that are on the field with you.
Well, yeah.
And
Yeah.
with this
It's just you
on game night
on
comes
game
down
day.
to
Yeah.
you,
Comes
you
down to
know?
you.
So,
Another thing to give any athlete that's looking to get big, the one thing that I do want to kind of like help keep your mind unburdened.
mhm,
You can be the most savage, the
mhm,
most exciting, and the most successful regional fighter on earth.
mhm.
If the right eyeballs don't see you,
Yes.
you're not going to go anywhere. That is what I would call an intangible thing. No matter what you do, you cannot control those right eyes from seeing you. You can just
Mhm,
do what will garner eyes, which is chase greatness, do the
mhm.
miles, win, do what you do, be happy with, like, enjoy the journey. But no,
Absolutely.
don't beat yourself up because you're getting knockouts, subs, first round, second round, wild fight of the night wins, and you're still not
Mhm,
getting that email or phone call. You can't control that. And you
mhm.
shouldn't beat yourself up for something you cannot control as it relates to your career.
Absolutely.
For young guys and girls starting out, the amateurs treating amateur as a business learning experience, and understand that you can't get the right eyes to see you. Those are the intangibles. That'll really understand that will help keep your mind from being burdened by nonsense that'll negatively impact you.
Absolutely. So first of all, we're at
Yes, sir.
about an hour, and I
Oh,
keep
are
it
we
at about an
already?
hour.
Oh,
Yeah,
damn.
we are already. But are you okay with going a little over? I have one more question.
Absolutely.
Okay. Okay. So I usually ask, you're a unique situation because you are not a 30-year martial arts veteran, which is usually who I have sit across from me. But it has occurred to me that the perspective is what we do this for, right?
Okay.
I
Yeah.
usually ask, what is the one thing that the average martial arts practitioner neglects in their practice? And then you learn two things by doing that. One, I learn what this person that teaches has seen most of their students neglect. But two, I also learn what they think is most important in their own practice. And they don't realize that that's what they're divulging, but that's what they're divulging. So for you, the question is, what do you think the average fighter neglects in their own career? That's a hard one.
It is a hard one. So there's like a couple of, I'll give you three. All right.
Good.
One that I see happen all the time: issue assignments for your corners. One person grabs the stool, one person works the bucket, one person talks. Bucket,
Not
stool,
two
talk.
people talking, not three
Nope.
people talking.
Nope. Cardio and nutrition. Cardio, nutrition. Cardio, nutrition. You big, bulking, G.I. Joe looking guys and gals, you can be as big as you fucking want to. If you can't breathe past minute 3, my ass is fucking you up. I'm going to fuck you up. Cardio and nutrition, as you start to increase in skill level, priceless. You can't put a price on that.
Sure.
Those are the three things that I see that are easy fixes or easy to address. You know, you can always eat more fucking broccoli. You know what I'm saying? You can always eat more broccoli, and you can always make sure that when you're walking back to your corner, that you have a system so you're not confused. You're because you only have a minute. You only had less than, because you got to get up, you got to wait for the door guy to open the door, you got to wait for my goofy ass to get in first, followed by your team. Like, you got like 35 seconds. 40 seconds in between a round. Now, if you need that 40 seconds, if you need it, just make sure your team knows what they need to do to get you that best 45 seconds. And the best way is to have some structure. Someone handle the stool, someone handle the bucket and the ice and the and swell and stuff, and one person talk. Sometimes you have to work with the commission. Only one person allowed in the ring for amateurs. One person can be in, one person can be half in, half out. Work that out with the commission or the inspector before you walk, so you can just have a plan of attack, so you don't got to worry about nonsense when you're fighting.
Right. No, that's great response. I appreciate that response.
Yeah, man, no worries. And I also know, like, I go on and on a bunch. I got like ADHD. I'm like, trying to address.
We all do.
Yeah. So is there I do have a lot of time. I know your time is whatever. Do you have any other questions that you think would be interested from a regulatory perspective?
I don't know. The last question that I always ask is, do you have anything you didn't get to say that you wish you should have said?
Yes. Go to your local shows. If you're an up and coming fighter, consider specifically amateur, regardless of the skill set: Muay Thai, kickboxing, boxing, MMA. Try the other ones amateur too. Get that experience, because what you will do, let's say you're an MMA guy and you take a boxing fight, amateur boxing fight, whatever, even a pro one, it's not your main thing. You're going to go in the back. You're going to meet seasoned boxing vets that will be able to crisp up your hands. And if you perform well and you in the back, you just got to change a phone number. Boom, you got a connection with someone that, you want to get some rounds in, pay a mat fee. Just get on there, get them hands up. You're 2 or 3 conversations away from training with a world-class athlete.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Please. Yeah. For your fighters and for your trainers out there, community-based thought. We see each other every other weekend anyway. We're going to see each other anyway. Let's try to make this community, your community. I want the MMA community in Kentucky and in them borderline southern states and all over to think that they can fuck up everybody up in PA. Come and show it, man, because that's why we're here. It's how we get after it. And if we are a weird community. People think we're weird and we smell bad and our noses point different ways and our ears are all fluffy. Like, all we have is us. And you guys, nobody knows the hard work and sacrifice to get into a fucking locker room other than you guys. So that has more weight in it than just about any other sport that doesn't have 100% injury rate. So keep going, man. Just come see me. Come see me up in PA,
100%.
man. I want to see you guys just chase greatness and make your savagery as beautiful as you can. That's all I want.
But man, that's a beautiful exit. We'll keep it at that. Michael, thank you for
Mr.
being
Coffey,
a part.
No, man, this is only my second podcast I've ever done. My buddy Jeremy Dove is in the podcast game up here. He's a stud muffin. He's a connoisseur of conversation, is what I call him. Your kindness, your hospitality has been phenomenal, and I really appreciate it. You are a good conversationalist, and you ask really good questions, man.
Thanks. The second thank you is to every student, or is to every person that sits down with me, because by sitting down with me, you're now a part of my martial arts journey, whether you like it or not. And I thank you for that as well.
Yes.
I
Yeah, no worries.
also thank everybody who watches or listens to this. Hope you got something out of it. And as always, guys, keep kicking.